Welcome to the third, but not yet final episode of Dark Aspects of Majora's Mask. Previously, I explored the curses plaguing the four main regions of Termina, and how they're causing suffering for each individual, all while an out-of-orbit moon draws closer with each passing hour. One place the giant shadow of this menacing moon covers that I have not yet is the alien-attracting Romani Ranch, connected to Termina Field by Milk Road.
Romani was practicing for tonight. Tonight, they're coming. They come at night every year when the carnival approaches. They come riding in a bright, shining ball. A whole lot of them come down. And then they come to the barn.
Aliens in my Zelda game? These cadaverous creatures, appearing for the first and only time in Majora's Mask, are foreigners to the franchise and to Earth. They have no known names associated with them, and are referred to only in non-specific terms like them or ghosts. Romani, a young girl who was given the same name as the ranch, is seemingly the only one who knows of their existence, and their practice of unwelcome annual visitations. Cremia, the ranch manager and Romani's big sister, of course doesn't believe what sounds like the creative delusions of a child, and will not heed her warning, despite her younger sibling diligently training with a bow to safeguard the both of them, and their home. The bigger problem here though is that the piercing blow of an arrow can only briefly stun and set these ever-encroaching invaders back to their starting points. It is solely the light of the morning sun that will vanquish the threat. So without the support of a more seasoned archer to subdue them until the crack of dawn, Romani will be overwhelmed by the ceaseless pursuers as they successfully reach their target and take her, along with the cows she was trying to defend. Romani will be missing for the remainder of the night, until she alone is dropped off in the now unoccupied field. It's a great thing she's returned safely, but something is very unwell. Romani is not her usual high-spirited, playful self at all. She instead aimlessly wanders around, occasionally stopping and staring at nothing with empty eyes and a vacant expression, as if her body is here, but her mind is still back wherever it was she was taken upon being captured. She's completely unable to say anything for the first day she's returned, and then speaks only in simple, fragmented sentences afterwards as she struggles to remember what she's doing, and who exactly she's speaking with, even if she already met Link prior to this conversation. The implication is that the aliens completely erased her memory of them and anything related to the incident, including Link. In her stupor, Romani will place her hands over her head and start shaking back and forth. This is likely a physical sign of her stress in desperately racking her brain but failing to find an answer, and perhaps indicative that whatever mind-wiping procedure or other experimentation, though there's no evidence of that, she had to endure was painful. Even if this isn't the case, being abducted and held against her will was no doubt traumatic. So perhaps fleeting flashes of what happened are entering her mind and shocking her system. Like a nightmare you're sure you felt but can't recall in detail. Whatever the case for her turmoil, Romani is left in catatonia, while her sister is utterly defeated. With a racing, pensive mind reflecting deeply in anguish, she'll no longer react to the falling moon, or to the masks that would normally get a rise out of her when worn by Link. On top of the precious cows inherited by their father being stolen, leaving both her business and legacy in shambles, she holds herself accountable for whatever scarred her little sister, because she wasn't there to protect her. I still don't think Cremia believes it was a supernatural cause, and that they were all pulled away by a tractor beam. So I'm sure once she calms down and attempts to uncover who's truly to blame, she'll naturally suspect her seedy competitors, the Gorman brothers, as the culprits. An entirely grounded claim, considering their direct efforts in sabotaging Romani Ranch by spitting false allegations about their rivals' milk products being watered down, and assaulting Cremia en route to Clocktown by attempting to destroy her cargo. Link can bear witness to and help fend off the thieves firsthand, but it is implied to have happened once, if not several times already, as Cremia knows what to expect when she's fenced off from the main road and has no choice but to take a detour through what she calls ugly country. What's more, when they're committing atrocities, the Gorman brothers wear masks to disguise themselves as Garos, the spirits of ninjas cloaked in darkness that are supposed to haunt just the Icona region. The brothers' exploits are infamous enough that there's now been many strange sightings of Garos near the ranch, based on a rumor that they frequently appear there. These cowls make the pair of them look like ghosts, so Cremia has to presume these repeat bandits are what Romani was scared of, and that may convince her the Gormans are responsible for this recent tragedy, if she, for whatever reason, hasn't yet realized that they are the ones under the masks. Getting back to the actual so-called ghosts that invade Romani Ranch, it's now time to talk about the surprising real-world cryptid these enemies are based on, the Flatwoods Monster of West Virginia folklore. The fact that Majora's aliens were designed after various depictions of this specific alien sighting in America isn't exactly new information, as the story of the extraterrestrials' apparent arrival in the Mountain State has influenced several other video games before and since, but I wanted to learn more about this phenomena from the source. So during the holiday season of 2021, my wife and I hopped in my car and drove from our place in Tucson, Arizona, all the way to Braxton County of West Virginia in search of answers, to visit a museum in downtown Sutton dedicated to them. Meet the Flatwoods Monster, also known as Braxy, the Phantom of Flatwoods, which, along with its shadowy appearance consisting of drape-like folds as described by one of the very first eyewitnesses, is perhaps why Romani refers to them as ghosts. The head of the Flatwoods Phantom was apparently shaped like the Ace of Spades, and had large, glowing yellow eyes that cast beams of light upon where they looked. Their in-game appearance matches this more popular interpretation of the Flatwoods Monster from the initial report rather than the second sighting, in which its witnesses described what they saw as less ethereal and more mechanical, with a metallic body, possibly as a sort of armor housing the creature, like its depiction in Fallout 76. Though the design of them from Majora's Mask was definitely based on the original illustrations of the Flatwoods Monster, there are many similarities in behavior to the unrelated Hopkinsville goblins, who are also apparent aliens that originated from Kelly and Hopkinsville, Kentucky, and provided the basis for Sablei's design from the Pokemon series. Like the Flatwoods Monster, these goblins have large heads with yellow glowing eyes and clawed hands, first discovered as a light descending from the sky and landing on a farm. Notably, the legend states that the witness and his family fired at the goblins with rifles and shotguns, but the impact from the bullets only sent the creature back a little bit as they collected themselves and reportedly resumed floating towards the family. This parallels what happens during the invasion at Romani Ranch, when Link fires arrows at the ghosts. A direct hit seems to destroy them at first glance, until they reappear seconds later from where they started approaching from. As I mentioned earlier, the morning sun is their only true weakness. Just as the Hopkinsville goblins supposedly had an aversion to light, they were said to have tormented the family that night until sunrise before disappearing. This also may be a coincidence, but the victims were both rural farmers and carnival workers. Not dissimilar to Cremia, who delivers the ranch's dairy supply to Clocktown's milk bar as they all prepare for the annual Carnival of Time. Anyway, they behave like the Hopkinsville goblins, while more closely resembling the Flatwoods Monster. What's most interesting in all of this, though, is the fact that these tiny towns tucked away in and around the east coast of the United States host stories about them that have persisted, and have intrigued Japanese creators enough to be inserted into their games. The executive director of the Braxton County Visitor Center and founder of the Flatwoods Monster Museum, Andrew Smith, who I actually met in person, said one Japanese visitor came to the museum after seeing this drawing her whole life, but only just learned about its origin as an adult. The museum does attract Japanese tourists specifically too, to the point that there's katakana written on the front window welcoming guests. I say the influence West Virginia and Kentucky had on Japan, which runs deeper than just this myth, is surprising. But with the country's yokai spirit-centric culture and love of all things alien, it's no wonder there'd be intrigue about overseas supernatural oddities. Plus, I suppose it's no different than a person like me, becoming inspired enough by Eastern video games to make a YouTube channel devoted to them. That's enough prattling on about cattle nappers though. Let's say you save Romani by exposing them to the light, and then make Cremia's muggers cry by wearing a mask that reminds them of their third brother who left home. Striking them in the face infinitely with arrows while they're too depressed to fight back doesn't help either. After a warm and fuzzy hug you could get used to, we have just one trouble-free day remaining to spend with these ranch sisters. Well, trouble-free if you don't look up at the sky. Cremia's friend Anju from Clocktown, whose betrothed mysteriously left her before the wedding, and her family have taken refuge at the ranch, despite the mother thinking her soon-to-be son-in-law is cheating on her daughter with Cremia. The ranch is certainly farther away from the moon than the town's clock tower the celestial body is nosediving into, but none of the ranch's locals actually think they're safe here either. Grog, the owner of the Cuckoo Shack, accepts his death with the sole regret of not being able to see his chicks in their prime as roosters. Mamamoo Yan, proprietor of the doggy racetrack, asks Link what he's doing here and if he'll be okay, while Cremia herself outright states without a hint of optimism that they aren't safe at the ranch. Like Grog, she makes peace with her death, explaining that there are some things in life that you can't change no matter how hard you try. Her little sister, on the other hand, is completely oblivious to the impending doom, expressing zero concern about the incoming moon and the increasing intensity of the earth tremors. Surely because she hasn't asked about it, Cremia carries on her usual duties with a smile for her younger sibling. Just because she knows they likely won't be waking up in the morning doesn't mean Romani has to. Cremia asks Romani to sleep with her in her bed tonight, which is already heartbreaking. But it's made worse when the two go in for the evening and Cremia hesitates to say, "See you tomorrow," while Romani exclaims it happily as if nothing bad is going to happen. If you think that's dark though, let's rewind to their conversation during the final day. As a bit of background, Chateau Romani, aka Milk of the Night, is the milk bar's most popular beverage, specially delivered from Romani Ranch. This highly desired forbidden milk is sold exclusively at the grown-ups only establishment, so Link must provide proof of membership, Romani's mask, a symbol of adulthood, to get in during regular business hours. The third Gorman triplet I alluded to earlier left the Gorman family ranch to pursue a career in the entertainment industry. But upon hearing the news that his troupe's Carnival of Time performance has been cancelled, he heads over to sulk at the bar and proceeds to drown his sorrows in Chateau Romani. He acts like a stereotypical drunken man by hiccuping and drawing out his words before explicitly asking if it's possible to get tipsy from something like milk. There's even an added quest to cure his hangover the following day in the 3DS version. The point in me explaining all of this is to make certain everyone knows that without question, Chateau Romani is alcoholic. In understanding this, the final day exchange between Romani and her older sister becomes all the more heartrending. On the night of the final day, Cremia is letting her sister try Chateau Romani for the first time. Romani was always told before this to wait until she's an adult, so why now? Well, I think this could easily mean one of two things. The first is that Cremia, knowing their grim fate, simply wants her younger sibling to experience a taste of this special drink she's been looking forward to while she still has the chance. The second, which is a much darker implication, is that Cremia is planning to get her sister slightly intoxicated so that Romani won't feel anything when she dies. While they won't be directly crushed under the weight of the fallen moon all the way at the ranch, the fire of its devastation will reach them, likely burning everyone alive. That's quite the downer to leave things on. Let's pour one out for Cremia. But the next dark aspects of Majora's Mask will be the night of a new episode, focusing on the shady Sakan, and his role in the greatest Zelda side quest of all time. Hope to see you then.